folks. Welcome to the Life Hacks Podcast, where everyone is a student of life. Sometimes we get life completely right, and sometimes we get it completely wrong. I am your host, Steve Smith. On today's episode, it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome my next guest to the podcast. He is a current firefighter and EMT for the Parkersburg Fire Department, where he holds the rank of lieutenant. And he has also served 20 plus years as a firefighter and a EMT. He is also highly trained in the mitigation of weapons of mass destruction and is a certified hazmat technician. He has a criminal justice degree from the West Virginia University at Parkersburg. He is also a proud father of two very opinionated girls, a husband of 13 years, and a phenomenal, and I say phenomenal, barbecue pit master.
Says my wife.
And last but not least, he is as sharp as a tack and as witty as a college graduate. He was the very first person to get a diploma from his high school. Yes, that's right. He owns diploma number 001 from his high school. And yes, he is from West Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, please give your undivided attention and a warm welcome to this very special Life Hacks guest and my fellow soccer dad, Doug Ashley. Welcome to the show, my man.
Great. I'm excited to be here. Great introduction. Thank you.
Well, thank you, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming down. We've known each other for a long time. Mm-hmm. A lot of his introduction is kind of a joke about his high school. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but he went to a new consolidated high school. So he was the first guy, just because of his last name, to get a diploma.
I got lucky twice. My last name was the first reason I was lucky. The other reason was the Anderson that was ahead of me didn't show up for graduation.
So you have 001, don't you?
Yes, I do.
That's hilarious. Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming down. Folks, I don't know if you heard in the intro, he is a firefighter and an EMT here in my local community. He's been doing this for 20 plus years. And I know you've listened to a few of my shows, the Life Hacks Podcast, and what we do, man. We talk about life. We talk about the ups of life, the downs of life. I mean, we're students of life. We are teachers of life. We're leaders in life.
Right.
We suck at life. This all happens in pretty much everyday basis. You know what I mean? But I wanted to pull you in here today to start talking about some firefighting stuff, because I don't really have a clue what goes on in the firefighting world.
It's for an outsider, if they would walk into a fire station and be that fly on the wall, they would get quite the education.
We're going to learn that education today.
There's just so much that that comes together with just the brotherhood that we have with each other.
Yeah.
Being in the military, you understand that.
Yeah.
And we have kind of a gallows humor a lot.
Yeah.
It's a coping mechanism that, we all have our own ways of coping. And like I said, being on a fly on the wall, hearing some of those conversations, man, most people would probably have a different opinion about firefighters.
Yes, I'm sure they would. If it's anything like the military, oh my gosh. It's some of the conversations you don't want your folks hearing about.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, let's get this show started, all right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, man. What is your upbringing as a youngster?
Well, I was raised in a very small town. We had, my dad was, he worked 2 jobs. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My my dad worked so much, I hardly ever saw him growing up. So he didn't really have a lot of time for me. And I probably wasn't, we were kind of adversarial with each other.
Really?
And growing up.
Yeah.
My mom, I'm a big mama's boy. So
I knew it.
My mom was everything. She was at every sporting event I ever had.
Sweet.
She missed one basketball game and I got hurt. She said, I'll never miss another one. So, I was a decent student in high school. Had big plans going to college, being a physical therapist. So,
how'd that work out for you?
6 weeks at WVU. Was having a miserable time. I had a roommate that, I was pretty straight-laced growing up. Didn't do a lot of drinking, not a lot of partying with everybody. But my roommate that I got was from Manassas, Virginia.
Oh, boy.
Culture shock for me. He was something. So a lot of times he would never even come to the dorm. And so anyway, I was just happened to be out with some guys from home playing some backyard football and broke my leg.
What?
Yep. And so anyway, long story short, it's very hard to get around WVU on a set of crutches.
Yes, it is.
And it didn't help that I wasn't doing well in my classes. So back home I went. And I just told my parents, I said, man, I can't take this. I said, this WVU thing's not for me. So I ended up going to community college and just in the neighboring town. Took every class they had there.
Yeah.
Not knowing what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And
decided finally on a criminal justice degree. So to Parkersburg I moved.
Yeah. Big town Parkersburg.
Big town Parkersburg.
It actually is a pretty good sized town.
And pursued my criminal justice degree. My intent was to be a natural resources officer. I grew up hunting, loved the outdoors. And, life ended up actually, we'll get to this a little bit later, I'm sure, but it took a little different turn for me than I expected.
Yeah.
Actually during college, I worked 2 jobs. Kind of got that little bit of a work ethic from my dad.
Yeah.
Bring home the meat. And,
yeah.
So I was working 2 jobs, going to school. And the firefighting opportunity hit me out of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah, I was.
Well, I got a question for that here shortly. Definitely find out about that. So you'd start to settle down at this point in Parkersburg, obviously?
Yeah. I had a roommate that I went to high school with when I was in college. He ended up getting serious with someone. And we kind of separated ways, and I went and got my own apartment and moved to Vienna, a little town next door.
Yeah.
And then everything started from there. That's where I got my base here.
Yeah, cool.
Built my roots.
I don't know if the audience obviously doesn't know this, but Parkersburg is probably how many miles from your hometown?
60.
60? Okay, mm-hmm. So it's a little hop, skip, and a jump to go to Parkersburg. So basically, you're moving everything, right?
Yep.
Other than your immediate family and stuff like that are back home. But
right.
Yeah, that's kind of my situation too. I grew up in Ritchie County, which is the neighboring county to Tyler County, obviously. And I moved to Parkersburg after the military, which is about, I don't know how many miles it is, but it's about 45 minutes from my hometown. Right. So I'm kind of in the same culture situation you're in there, I think. All of our family are back home. I think it's the same way as you do. Yep. Cool. Very cool. All right, man. I got another question. Let's start ramping some questions at you. What I do at the podcast? I've kind of got a bunch of questions that I kind of like pick from and shoot them at you. I like to do an interview style format. So let's just start right into some of them, and then we'll dig into your history a little bit. All right?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. How would you describe yourself to a person that does not know you?
Well, I would say, from what my coworkers say, I'm an asshole. Now,
I would argue that statement a little bit.
They know me as that. And several people know me as that, but
I'm the same way.
I kind of wear that badge of pride a little bit. But, as in the community, I'm a libertarian.
Nice.
I'm kind of a unicorn when it comes to being libertarian because I'm a little bit of a right-wing libertarian.
Uh-oh.
Constitutional libertarian.
There you go.
I have very strong opinions about government.
Maybe I'm a libertarian.
Well, if we talk long enough, you probably will. So I'm a giving person. I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
A lot of people never see that side of me.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll see if we can change that today.
And, my girls are my world. I got 3 of them at home, my wife, my 2 girls, and that's what I live for.
Yes.
I live to provide for them.
I know you do. For the audience, Doug and I have daughters that play on the same soccer team. So we see a lot of each other throughout the summers and stuff. So we're around each other a good bit. And he is right. This dude is a family man. I mean, if there's a picture in the dictionary beside family man, he's going to be fighting for one of those top rungs for family man. And that is a true statement. He is not lying about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wear that a badge of honor.
You earned it, brother. You earned that one for sure. And I'll take that one. I'll fight anybody about that one for you, for sure.
Thanks.
All right, man, I got another one here. What is something about you that might surprise others if they knew? And I want something good. You voted for Hillary, didn't you?
I did not vote for Hillary. Kind of on that subject is when I was in high school, my dream was to be a chef for Donald Trump.
You're kidding.
It's no lie.
That is freaking awesome.
I can't stand Donald Trump.
Well, I mean,
but
the job, yeah.
Back then, that was, I wanted to be a big time chef. And,
that is freaking killer.
I never pursued that other than, recreationally, I guess, my barbecue stuff now. But for probably 4 or 5 years, I felt that's what I wanted to do.
No kidding. Yeah. Hey, that surprised the hell out of me, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you cook a lot and you do a ton of barbecue, but that surprises me. I thought he was going to go political on me there. Well, you kind of did, I guess.
A little.
All right, man. Here's another one for you. What is your most favorite adult beverage?
I'm a beer drinker. In fact, I for a little while was making my own brew. And, specifically, I love really skunky, really fruity IPAs.
Yes, you do.
My favorite's Devil Ants. I had a Greenbrier Brewing in beautiful state of West Virginia. And when I can get my hands on that, it's all over.
Yeah.
I love it.
You like the IPAs too, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like the big heavies, man. I like the big dark porters,
right.
Those kind of things. And I drink for flavor, really. I just like the flavor type drinking. I quit abusing my body a long time ago. And those were just hard lessons learned there. That's why I turned that page in my life. But I still like to drink beer. I love the taste of it, I'll be honest with you. And, I can't remember the last time I've been drunk. It's been so long ago. So.
Yeah, it's beer quality over quantity is, that's something that I found when I started drinking craft beer.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot of it.
No.
And, there's so many different distinct flavors out there in the beer world.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
And people who, that drink Bud Light all the time don't understand. So,
You're right.
they kind of think we're kind of an uppity when we drink our craft beer, but, you guys are missing out.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's because, we've spent so many years drinking that crap.
Well, yeah, Natty Light.
We've turned that page in our life. Right. We're like, screw those days, man. Yeah, I'm more of a, hobbyist. I like a cold beer with my meal and, that kind of thing. When it comes to that, and when I'm barbecuing, man, you toss on a big old plate of ribs or some brisket, man, nothing goes better than a nice big dark beer, in my opinion. All right. Hey, I got another question here for you, and we're going to start getting into some firefighter stuff. All right, man. Enough of the bullshit. All right. Here we go. Where were you when the first plane hit the Trade Center Tower on September 11th, 2001?
I was off work. I was at home. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I was probably, early in the morning. I was probably drinking coffee, watching the TV. And the first images of that was, I knew what was coming. You know what I mean? I knew that there was guys there that were going to be busting their butt. I'd only been on the fire department for a year and a half at that point.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured it was pretty close.
So, I was green, real green.
Oh man.
But I'd had the training, and I knew that climbing 100 flights of stairs was going to be miserable, and how much work these guys were going to do. And no one ever thought what was coming, exactly what was coming.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I was kind of at a loss, and I knew I already had made tight relationships at work, and so that's where I ended up sitting at the fire station watching with the guys.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know, I want to know what they was feeling through this. They'd seen so much more than I had.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's where I was at.
Yeah. I remember that too. I discussed this in my other episodes, but I was working midnights at the time, and my wife woke me up to check out the news, and I'll paraphrase what really went down, but my life kind of just, and I know everybody's did, obviously, but it stopped because I was fresh out of the military,
Right.
And it wasn't that I was scared
Right.
Who knows what was going to happen at that point, but I almost immediately thought, I almost guaranteed that I was going to be back in, but all I had to do was update my records and that kind of thing. And that was it, man. I just, for whatever reason, didn't get called back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it was everybody, it's a life altering moment in time.
Such a punch to the gut.
Oh.
And then, with everything that happened after the second plane hit, and when those towers fell, man, I just knew there were so many people who lost their lives there.
Yeah.
I remember a conversation they was having on the news that someone had called into the news and told them, it said, that their bosses had told them to stay at work, stay in the building.
Oh man.
The safest place was in the building. And, those people never made it out of there.
No.
No one knew what was going to happen. And nothing like that had ever happened before. So.
No. People were making decisions. I guarantee they were making the best decisions that they thought they could make.
Yep.
Mostly, I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody had a clue what was going to happen.
And the bravery of the guys in the second tower after the first one fell.
That right there is incredible.
Those guys didn't come running out of there.
Nope.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Obviously you're a firefighter and you know what that brotherhood's like, and you just witnessed it happen.
Yeah.
And the damage is done to the tower right beside it.
Yep.
And they're freaking running right in that sucker, man. You know what I mean?
Yep. They were.
That is unbelievable.
Still guys coming from home to go.
Yes, sir.
And but the New York firemen are out of this world, man.
Yes, they are. And, I'll even add to that, every fireman is out of this world. And I say that to you. And, I really believe that with all my heart. I'm a huge firefighter supporter, policeman supporter. And I don't give a rat's ass what kind of freaking protest you see. I don't care about that. I support the firefighters, the policemen. And that's not a political thing. That's a damn human being feeling.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have a lot of support from our community. That's for sure. We don't necessarily always feel that from the administration, but definitely from the community. And they're always bringing something by, dropping food off to us.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah. And cookies, everything can make you fat and not a good fireman.
So do you see any of the national bullshit happening around our area? I mean,
it's as far as with the police, I don't think it's that bad here. We're kind of shielded from all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that, I think.
And we used to be, it's one of the things we used to be shielded from too is the drugs.
Yeah.
I remember I spent probably 12 years on the fire department before I ever saw an overdose.
What?
Yeah, 12 years.
Now you might go a week without seeing one, right?
I don't go a day without seeing one.
Are you serious?
No. And
holy moly.
It's for a long time we were shielded from that. So, who knows? It could change. It could change next week.
Wow.
As far as any incident bringing in outside people.
Yeah, you're right.
Outside agitators can change everything.
That's true, man. We see it happening nationally. I mean, there's been a lot of changes this past year and a half, 2 years. Man, that's a different podcast right there.
Yeah.
All right, man. Here's a question for you. What does the phrase first responder mean to you? And obviously, you're a first responder. What does that mean to you, man?
I am a first responder. It's what most people think of as first responder. My belief is that the individual is a first responder. Every individual is a first responder, whether you're trained or not. If you're there, you're first. Now, what you choose to do while you're there is, that's up to you. And most people don't know what they would do in certain situations. Some people think they might know what they're going to do. Most people won't act that, the way they think they will. But as far as firefighting, a first responder is a smoke detector.
That's a good point.
That's the biggest. That's the best tool we have, and we don't. We have no responsibility for it.
That's right.
The individual's got to have that in their house. Make sure it's in their house. We'll come in and put one in for free for you. But you got to call us. We don't know you don't have them.
All right, I got like 10 in my house. Come on now, dude.
Yeah. So, in building on that is, the best chance of survival in a fire is you getting yourself out.
Yeah.
There's a big misconception that we're going to save you 100% of the time or 50% of the time. If we're getting there, especially in, with all the fuel load that's in houses now, it's a solid gasoline. And with the fuel load, when we're getting it, say 5 minutes from the time the fire starts, we're notified. We have less than a 5-minute response time anywhere in the city. But by the time we get there, it's cooking.
Yeah.
And it only takes one breath of hot gas. And so anyway, that's what I'm saying is you got to have a plan to get yourself out. Be the first responder. It makes our job easier. It'll save your kid's life. It'll save your life. So that's what I think of a first responder.
That's a great point, man. I didn't expect that. I wasn't thinking that answer was coming from you.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Self-accountability, man. I preach that a lot on this show. And that's exactly what you just said in a roundabout way. Self-accountability of you and your family, man. Be a leader of your house, or be the wife of your house that needs to take charge, or be the 13-year-old daughter that's sleeping that wakes up first. Take charge of your house. Anybody can be a great decision maker at any point in their life. You don't have to be the husband. You don't have to be the father or the mother. Anybody can get the job done, as long as they want to put forth that effort to make a decision. And when you're making decisions in your life, you're going to make some wrong ones. A lot.
Yeah.
But to have the intestinal fortitude to be willing to make a decision says it all to me. I mean, that's kind of what you just said. And that gave me like the goosebumps a little bit, dude. It did. I was like, ooh. Man, I didn't expect that. Wow. Okay. All right, man, here we go. Why did you choose to become a firefighter?
There's a Yiddish proverb that I always think of when someone asks me this question, and it's you make plans and God laughs. That's the story. That's the story of my career. And like I said earlier, after I'd kind of given up on my my chef thing, and I wasn't going for physical therapy anymore. Natural resource officer is what I wanted to be, and to be a natural resource officer, it's tough to get in. They hire very few people. You got to have 2 years law enforcement, 2 years military at least.
Yeah.
Or 2 years, I said 2 years law enforcement, or 4-year degree. And at that time, in my life, I was kind of felt like I was spinning my wheels.
Yeah.
I was, like I said, I was working 2 jobs. So I decided to apply for a job in the town I live in as a police officer. Went and took the civil service test. Did really well. I was, I think, 4th or 5th after the test. They did interviews. Came out of the interviews in first place.
Nice.
So I was ready to start my 2-year law enforcement, and so I could move on to better things. Well, I was working as a security guard, and the guys I worked with, most of them were retired policemen. And they kept telling me, "Why didn't you go to the fire department?" My dad was a fireman.
Really? I didn't know that.
And my dad was he was on the fire brigade at his plant. He was a trainer there, instructor, and he was assistant chief at our hometown fire department, volunteer department. And so anyway, I had a little bit of a background in it, and these guys at work kept telling me, there's a lot of policemen who have quit and become firemen. I don't know one fireman who's ever became a policeman.
Really?
Yeah. And so that kind of stuck with me. And I thought, I'll take that fire department test. So I took the fire department civil service test. Didn't have any passion for it. And I was in the middle of the road on that test.
Yeah.
And it had an agility test. Almost didn't get out of bed. Almost didn't get out of bed and go. It was a rainy day. It was cold. I mean, and I didn't run well in the cold. But so, anyway, I pried myself and out of bed, and I went. And anyway, just shorten the story a little bit. The police department finally called me.
What?
But this time I had dyed blonde hair. I had an earring. And
I think I've seen this picture.
So I was not what someone would picture as a police officer.
Yeah. A little eccentric, huh?
Yeah. With some help from a hairdresser, I got my hair back in order and went and talked to the chief. And I knew about the chief. Like I said, I worked with some of the guys that used to work with him. And I knew he didn't like the long hair hippie freak, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew that going in there. Well, I'll go in, sit down, have a talk with him. At this point, I've passed all my psychological exams. I've passed polygraph. So I'm thinking, this is it. I go in, talk to the chief for 15 minutes. He was all right. He said, we'll get back to you. I left not thinking much about it, thinking, they're going to call me when I get home, say, you can start Monday, whatever. The call never came. So I waited for several months, nothing. So something I skipped over. So when I get home, I go in to the bathroom and look in the mirror, and I still have my earring in. And my heart hit the floor, and I was like, man, maybe he didn't notice. Yeah. So while I'm waiting for, my dream job to come calling, the fire department ended up calling. And I almost didn't go to the meeting because I was still waiting on that police part. I didn't really want to be a fireman.
Yeah.
So I ended up going because I thought, something's telling me that I need to stay away from the police department. Something's steering me away from that. I have a lot of faith in God. And I just, at that time, I just thought, this is what he wants.
Yeah,
He doesn't want me where I want me.
Right.
He's got different plans.
Totally.
So that's how I became a fireman. It kind of found me.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's like, I actually went, when I got out of high school, I went to college to be a cop. That's what I wanted to do. And when I realized college wasn't working for me, I went to the military to get the experience to become a cop. And I never went, I wasn't a military policeman or none of that stuff.
Right.
I went in the infantry because my recruiter is an asshole. And he's like, hey, man, you need to go in the infantry to get the experience to be a cop. I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I got out. I'm still not a cop. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, like I said, when my wheels were spinning, I didn't know what to do. I went and talked to the recruiter, and I talked to the Air Force recruiter, and I talked to a Marine recruiter.
Yeah.
I wanted to be an MP because that was my job I wanted to go into, and the Air Force told me, well, we can't guarantee you won't be guarding a broom closet in Alaska. Well, that's where my cousin ended up guarding a broom closet in Alaska, so I knew a little bit about that.
I believe it.
And so the Marine recruiter, he talked me out of it by I took the ASVAB, and he said, man, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Can you swim? I said, yeah, I can swim. He said, well, you're from West Virginia. I'm sure you know how to shoot a gun. I said, yeah. He goes, that's all I need to know.
There you go.
I said, thank you. That's all I need to know too. so yeah, that's my experience with the military.
All right. I got some rapid fire questions here for you, man. You can elaborate as much as you want, but these are going to be quick answers, I think. Who wins in an eating contest? Firefighters or police officers?
Firefighters.
I'd have to agree with you.
We are much better. We have to be better cooks.
Oh, yeah? That's all you got to do is cook,
That's right? I'll cook and eat, man.
How about a drinking contest? Who wins in a drinking contest?
10 years ago, I wouldn't have ever bet against a fireman, but most of our guys that I work with are really slowed down a lot. Yeah, we're getting up there, but so I would
still give it to the firefighters.
I still give us the edge on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, here's one. Who is the alpha male of the first responders? Firefighters or police officers?
Well, there's an old saying. I don't know if this was a Yiddish proverb or not, but it goes, God created firemen so cops would have heroes. It's an old. We kid with each other a lot with policemen, and we work side by side. So
sure, yeah.
So we have mutual respect for each other.
Yeah, definitely. All right, here's one for you. When you're at the station, do you slide down the pole?
No.
Do you guys have a pole, by the way?
My station is the very last one to have a pole.
Really?
Yeah. Up until probably 5 years ago, I would slide that pole. But it got it's painful when you hit the ground from 20 foot up.
I figured.
It's hard on the back.
I don't even know if they still have them or not.
Yeah, we still have them.
Oh, all right. Can you drive a fire truck any way that you want? Or is there a way to drive a fire truck correctly?
Really, the only restrictions we have are we're supposed to stay only 20 mile an hour over the speed limit.
Only 20?
Yeah, only 20. But, it's running lights and sirens. Still, everyone else has the right of way over us. And if a lot of guys find that out in court.
Yeah.
that that stoplight, even if that light's green, you have to go through with due caution.
Yeah.
And
everybody's watching you.
Right. And so, yeah, we definitely have limitations. And people can't drive. So, I think 90% of our community has missed that part on their driver's test where you go right for lights and sirens. But so that's one of my pet peeves is people not getting out of our way.
Yeah. I've seen it too.
It's bad.
It is bad. I've seen it several times, whether it's an emergency squad or a cop car or anybody, and people just keep driving.
A lot of people just freeze. They just don't know they just stop right where they're at.
Ooh.
The worst thing you can do.
Block both lanes.
Just stop right in front of a 60,000-pound fire truck coming at you. Not a good move.
Here's a question for you. What is the best firehouse prank you have ever seen?
Well, one that I've done is worked with a guy that he had gone to the store and to get his lunch. He was drinking water, had his cup in the kitchen, and we had some Dave's Insanity sauce. I don't know if you've ever know about Dave's Insanity sauce, but it is in a very hot sauce.
It sounds like it.
So anyway, I thought it'd be funny to put it on the rim of his glass. And so I put it on the rim of his glass, wiped it off. Couldn't tell it was there. He comes back from the store, and I remember he's eating chicken livers. And
no way.
He heated them up in the microwave. So he's sitting there eating. He takes a drink, and he just kind of looks over at me. He goes, "Did you put hot sauce on my fork?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He said, "You put hot sauce on my fork." I said, "My mouth's burning." I said, "Nah, I didn't put it on your fork." So he takes another drink. He goes over and gets another fork. He comes back, takes another bite, takes another drink. It's getting hotter. He said, "Did you put it on all the forks?" I said, "I didn't." He said, "Did you put it on my food?" I said, "How did I put it on your food? You had to control your food the whole time." 10 minutes goes by and he just keeps drinking this water. His mouth keeps getting redder and redder. Anyway, long story short, he finally figured out that it was on his rim of his glass. But one of the pranks that's we do with the new guys right now is I don't know if you know what a K-12 saw is, but it's a metal cutting saw. Kind of looks like a chainsaw on the back, and it's got a big disc on the front. Well, we convinced them that you can push start one. So we had these guys running all over the parking lot with a disc on the ground, trying to start this thing.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it's not as bad as what I went through when I got hired.
Yeah, I bet
it was ruthless.
Yeah.
Then.
If it's anything like the military, there are plenty of pranks going on.
Oh yeah. Many times I had my car keys frozen in water when I went to leave the next morning.
No. Oh my gosh. That sucks.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question for you. Is the movie Backdraft the best firefighter movie ever made?
Quite possibly the worst firefighter movie ever made. I can't watch that movie. There's firefighter movies are hard to watch if you are a fireman, for sure. Ladder 49 probably has the best representation of what life is like as a fireman.
Yeah.
But no, not Backdraft. Not Backdraft.
All right, let's start getting into some firefighter life stuff. All right. Yeah, that question was wrote in by a fan, by the way. The Backdraft. So,
gotcha.
Hey, fan number letter J, if you're listening, that's for you, buddy. All right, man. What is the smallest, most ridiculous fire that you've ever seen somebody called out for?
Probably just a T-shirt on the sidewalk on fire.
Really?
It's random.
You guys got called for that?
Oh yeah, it's at least that is a fire. There's so many things that we get called out on that they don't know who else to dispatch, so they just call the fire department.
Really?
Snakes in your attic.
What?
raccoons.
Hey, we're firefighters, guys.
Yeah.
You show up, you're like, what? There's no fire?
Sick cats. That one's for you, Tom. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, do they just do that because they're just so swamped?
We're just the catch-all. Yeah. That's if it's not a police thing or a medical thing, then everything else is a fireman thing.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, someone calls 911, they got to have help. So they want help. It's important enough for them to call 911.
Man.
So as a dispatcher, you got to send somebody.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's usually us.
Well, maybe here in a couple of years, it's going to be like community workers type.
Yeah,
thing.
there you go, social workers. Yeah.
Going back to the political idea. All right. Hey, what is the funniest call you've ever been called out on?
Funniest. I can't think of any scenario that was extremely funny, but one that I wasn't on was we had a fire in a house that had an alligator that ended up coming off on the second story porch roof and then landed in the yard. And it had to be wrangled by a fireman and a policeman.
Gee whiz.
So that was kind of funny for a while until you think that you could have been in there with that alligator in the dark and smoking.
Holy smokes.
Luckily, he was a self-rescuer.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, what would be the biggest, most intense fire that you've ever been a part of?
Well,
let's get some serious talk going on here.
The IEI fire, which was a group of warehouses that were storing recycled plastic or plastic to be recycled. When that caught on fire, I was at the beach. It's the biggest fire that's happened around here for 100 years. Probably.
Right, I agree.
I got the tail end of it when I come back and just mopping things up, but the devastation that was there on the ground for that was unbelievable. What it did to the community as far as breathing, that stuff.
I know.
We won't know what it was.
Nasty.
For 20 years probably. So that was probably the one that really comes to my mind is they had a fire when I think I had about 4 years on. We had a double fatality fire. Probably the most violent thing I've ever seen. The fire was all through the house. It was a 2-story house. We fought that fire felt like hours. It was we get it out and start back up, and or not completely out, knock down a little bit, and it was probably 2 hours after that fire was over, maybe an hour and a half, but we realized that we had fatalities in it, and it just so happened that one of the girl that was in there was an ex-girlfriend of my captain.
Whoa!
And he was the one who had to identify her.
Dang.
It's just that fire's still under investigation still today.
Wow.
We know it was set. Just the amount of fire that was in there, just normal conditions don't cause that. But that fire was just, like I said, it was just violent. I just remember it being so violent, and it had I remember it just being tough on everybody for a long time because we knew, our captain was devastated by it.
Oh man!
So that's probably the most violent one, or the worst fire I've ever been on.
Wow, that's crazy, man. So obviously that's still under investigation, right?
Yeah, it is still under investigation.
Is it looking?
They
probably know.
They made an arrest within a week on it, and then ruled that guy out, and that's all they had.
Wow.
That's all they've ever had.
Dang.
So,
I mean, that sucks, man. You know, I mean,
yeah,
I hate unsolved mysteries, I guess. You know?
it's terrible for their family.
It
not
is.
To get that
There's
closure.
no closure. Yeah, that sucks. And you know, you say your captain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Man, why did they choose him? Because he knew her, obviously, or
there was the girl's mom was outside. I remember her being outside, and he was there, and she asked him to identify her, and so you know he. The way he identified her was by her belly button ring.
Wow.
She was so, just far gone.
Oh,
that
man.
She was laying on her stomach, and that was the only thing identifiable for her.
Jeez.
That was that. They had a terrible death, and
that's awful.
Yeah,
I gotta admit, my biggest fear in the world is burning to death.
Yeah,
that's my biggest fear in the world.
Yeah, mine too.
Well, I imagine so.
That or running out of air in a fire, and just having that mask sucked to your face. That's
I guess my fears aren't as possible as your fears. I suppose. I mean, that's a fear of mine, but you actually face that fear a lot,
right,
in your job. I didn't mean to come across like that. Yeah. Scare the hell out of you for you leave. Yeah. What does the average day on duty look like for you guys? I mean, what is your average, I guess, run-of-the-mill day where, hey, man, you go home and you tell your wife, we had a average day. What is that? What's it look like?
Start off with our morning routine. We clean our station. We do on our shift change. We go over everything that happened the shift before, if something needs fixed, whatever, miscellaneous things like that. We have a duty that we have to do every day. It's different every day.
Oh, really?
Cleaning hose.
Oh, I see.
Just one thing that they
like job assignments type thing. Oh, I see.
So after all that's taken care of, sometimes we'll have a training session. But basically, it's we're waiting on that call. I had my training officer. He said, 90% of firefighting is nothing. He's doing nothing.
Mm.
But he said that 10% that you're paid for, you're going to be working harder than anybody.
Yep.
Harder than anybody works.
Dang.
And it's the truth. It's a grueling thing when you get called on a fire.
Yeah.
Our work schedule is kind of based on that. We have a lot of flexibility, relaxation time and eating time. So we're prepared for that. And so the next day we're not dragging, we're ready to go to, our home life. And so, it's a lot of downtime. And like I said, it's that 10% of the time we're
it's real.
It's real.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it, man. For all you folks out there that think first responders don't do anything when they're not, responding, like in his case, a firefighter, when he's not coming to your house to put your fire out, he's chilling so that when he comes to your house to put your fire out, you can be 110%.
Right.
People need to realize that, when they're coming to your house to put your fire out,
mm-hmm.
I want the best daggone Doug Ashley I can get.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's a good way to look at it. I got no problem with you guys chilling for months on end. That means nothing's going on in the city.
Yeah.
It's
a good day for the residents of the city.
Absolutely. That's what we all want in life.
Right.
We want a nice, good, easy day, because we're all lazy.
Right.
Well, let me ask you this, man. What does the worst day on duty look like?
Multiple fires during a day, or it's really taxing on us because, we're so short-staffed. We're short-staffed and we have We have guys that are brand new. We have older guys that don't recover as easy.
Yeah.
And, when you have even 2 fires in a day, in a 24-hour shift, that'll wipe you out for a couple of days. So probably, that would be the worst day. Any day we have a fatality is, it ends up being a worst week.
For sure.
For us. So yeah, not about that.
Yeah. What would be the most challenging thing that you guys go through being a firefighter? I mean, what is your daily, maybe not a daily issue, but what's the most challenging thing that you would tell a newcomer about firefighting?
I would say, I think one good word of advice, I think, for a new firefighter is you have to understand that when you get called to a fire or whatever it is, whatever call it is, that could be that person's worst day of their life. And, usually is.
Absolutely.
And people don't deal with grief the way that we do. And so I think a lot of empathy, keep that empathy through your career.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that I had posted at the station at one time was a Maya Angelou saying that said people don't remember what you did for them, but they remember how you made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I like to instill in my guys is, just exactly that 10 years down the road, they're going to remember that feeling they had with your face.
Yeah.
And you're going to attach it to your face and your department.
Right.
So, yeah. And the public trust that we have, there's another thing my training instructor told me that he said, who in their right mind would hand their baby to a stranger? They trust you. And he said, there isn't one fireman that comes out of a fire with these giant pockets that anybody searches because they think he stole something.
That's a good point.
It is the public trust, and you got to keep that.
Yeah, you do.
If you don't have that, then we don't have a job.
You're right. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, you guys are the ones that toss on the cape and run into the damn house when it's on fire and save a family or whatever. I mean, I have no clue what goes on, but you can catch what I'm laying down there, I think. But yeah, you're right. It's a public trust position. And everybody in our society, and I don't think it's like we talked earlier, it's not that bad around here, but I don't want to see any of it getting thrown at our responders. I mean, that's just a bunch of bullshit, man.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you guys are there to save people's lives or to save somebody's house from burning down. I mean, all right. I mean, I got another question here for you. What is the scariest thing about being a firefighter? When have you been scared? I mean, out of your gourd?
Getting lost in a fire. I remember a fire I had, and like I said, another early on fire. The guy I was working with was brand new. We ended up in it was an apartment building fire on Christmas Eve, and we ended up it was the upstairs. It was in the second story. I remember walking up the stairs, and we were so focused on getting this fire out. There's a lady standing at the top of the stairs, black soot all over her face, and I remember telling her, "Go down the steps and find the ambulance," because we were so focused. I was so focused on that fire.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go in this apartment. We had crews that went around back too, and you could hear them in the back of the house, and we can't find anything. We can't find anything. Smoky, so smoky. So I tell my partner, and he's like I said, brand new. I said, "Stay right here." I said, "There's a room right here. I'm going to search it." And this is a room about the size we're in, 10 by 10, something like that. And I walk in that room, start feeling my way around the wall, and all of a sudden, I don't know where I'm at. And so smoky, you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And I remember getting that little bit of a panic, and then I remembered I left him at the door. And that's why I left him there, And so I started calling out to him, where are you at? He's like, I'm over here. So anyway, long story short about that fire was I got back to him and he was on the nozzle now, and which that's a prime spot for a young guy. You want to be on that nozzle.
Yeah.
And we started advancing in the hallway, and it's getting smokier and hotter. I look up and I see these flames rolling across his helmet. And I said, hit it. He goes, hit what? I said, look up.
Oh.
He went, oh no.
Oh no.
So anyway, we ended up putting that fire out from around down the hallway. The fire was actually in a room that was back from that hall. We put it out from around the corner. So yeah. And now being an officer, being responsible for these guys, and it's terrifying to put them in situations that, and actually, one of my good friends, who's also a lieutenant, put himself in a situation in front of me one time that it scared me to death. And at the time, it didn't bother him, but after I told him what he did and what after we talked about it, he's like, "Man, that was so stupid." Oh. It was, it was a house that was gone. It was a basement. The fire was actually started in the basement, burn out all the steps, and they wanted to search the second floor. Now, he didn't know that they put a ladder up and had going through the second story off the porch, and he starts climbing up these stringers that were still attached to the wall with this inferno underneath him.
Oh my God!
And man, it scared me to death.
I bet.
And I had a word with him after that. I wasn't happy with him, and so yeah. Just that, like I said, as an officer, the responsibility of those guys.
Yeah.
And I have good guys, man. Those guys support me. I support them. They're, the guys that are under me, I think, are the best on our department. And,
nice.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, if it's offensive.
Right.
But, there's nobody I would trade for somebody else.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm blessed. I'm blessed with those guys.
That's awesome. You guys, you're going to battle with these dudes, man. I mean, I get a vibe. I get a military vibe out of this. I mean, it's a lot of that's similar to the military stuff. I mean, when you become a leader, every decision you make, and sometimes stuff still happens no matter which way you make that decision.
Right, yeah.
And it's almost out of your hands at times. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, you're the one that made that decision. So, I mean, it's tough. It's tough sledding sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, you can answer this however you want. What's your worst day ever as a firefighter? Do you have one that's just like, you know what I mean?
Kids.
Yeah.
Man, it didn't hit me until I had kids as bad as it does now. Man, seeing kids in pain or hurting, even living in deplorable conditions, which there's a lot of that goes on. We are involved with, and the kid thing, man, just sticks with me. Sometimes hard to shake that. A little funny story about funny in a sick sense, I guess.
In a firefighter sense,
yeah. One of my first memories of something, and it's still in my mind that I had a hard time sleeping with, was we had a lady that had hit another car head on. She died instantly. Her dog was sitting in her front seat, and the dog died too. It hit the floorboard and died. And I had this. It didn't bother me to see her. That dog tore me up. And, for the longest time, I thought, man, there's something wrong with me. How can I not have empathy for her?
Yeah.
But for this dog, why did that bother me? To this day, I don't know why. And, that's still the image I get is that dog.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's weird how different things hit you.
Yes.
And, And another bad day would be seeing one of my guys get hurt.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, I was in a fire with one of my best firemen, and he's that guy's. He's like a horse, and you got to restrain because he wants to do his job the best. Superman guy, and we got separated in the house.
Oh my God!
And this house had accelerant in it, and the part that he walked through was going good. And the room that I went in, it was coming into that room, and I had just enough room to get out that door and out the front door. And he ended up having to come through the fire to get out. He couldn't find the back door. And this is just a mundane fire. This was just a afternoon, go in there and knock this fire down. We'll be out of here in 10, 15. Mm-hmm. Ended up, he come out on fire. His gear was on fire.
Dang.
And he and I have had, long talks about that. And I told him, I said, don't you ever do that to me again.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy that has to go tell your kids and your wife that I should have been there with you.
Yeah.
Because you didn't stick with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, anytime my guys get hurt, it's and there's an old saying that God loves the Parkersburg Fire Department because it happens so little. And we're in some pretty hairy situations for the type and the number of manpower we have.
Yeah.
So he's definitely looking out for us, that's for sure.
In your department where you guys work at, do you deal with a lot of the car crashes? And I know you're an EMT too, but
yeah,
or is how does that work down there where you guys are at?
Yeah, anytime we have a car crash with injuries, or a lot of times, sometimes without, we respond.
So you guys go to those two mostly?
Yeah, the truck I work on that carries all the you've heard of the jaws of life.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
It's the truck I work on most of the time. So
you're not just slamming fires all the time. You guys are car crashes,
medical calls,
ODs, stuff like that. Or what about criminal things like shooting, stuff like that?
Yeah, we're there for things like that. As far as for instance, a lot of things we get called out on are SWAT raids.
Oh,
so we're there to provide support for the policemen.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
And if one of the suspects or whatever gets hurt, and someone in the house gets hurt. So, that's as far as with law enforcement and criminal stuff, that's usually just usually on the medical side of that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So you're there basically as a support role.
Right.
Yeah. And are you guys EMT qualified or just a select few? Or?
Almost everyone on our department is an EMT.
Nice.
We have a few paramedics. But there was requirements at one point to be an EMT.
Oh, I see.
Now it's they kind of rely on a money incentive to keep you as an EMT.
Gotcha.
So most people are.
Do you? I'm assuming that you do a lot more work EMT wise, kind of responding to the drug thing, because the drug problem in our town, I know you know this, is crazy right now.
Yeah. Probably 70% of what we do is EMS.
Yeah.
It's slacked off a little bit with COVID because they're trying to keep the number of people that respond to a scene down.
Oh, I see.
So we have less contact. There'll be less contact tracing, or contact with someone that might have it.
Yeah.
So basically, they're relying a lot more on just the ambulances.
Yeah.
On a lot of calls that they normally send us on.
I see. Man, obviously, being a firefighter is very demanding, physically, mentally. You guys, same with police officers. You guys are seeing some bad stuff a lot, if not every day.
Yeah.
And there are scars with that. There's emotions with that. How do you and your fellow brothers, sisters, firefighters handle that kind of stress? How are you guys dealing with the post-traumatic stress of that stuff? Because it's there. I mean,
Yeah. I think everybody I think deals with it a little bit differently. And as far as what the city provides for us is they have, a lot of times if it's a traumatic event or whatever, we'll have what they call a SISM, which we'll all just sit around and talk about our experience with it. Yeah, and with each other. Sometimes we'll have a social worker there, that can provide guidance for that. Doesn't happen. That doesn't happen a lot. I can think of maybe 3 instances in the 20 years that we've had that happen. But yeah, I think everybody kind of deals with it their own way. We have a lot of adventure seekers, guys who rock climb, get their adrenaline rush. And I think that adrenaline flushes out that that anxiety and stress that we carry.
Right.
For me, I really like my downtime. I mean, I like to turn it off. I try to turn it off a lot.
Is that working for you?
It's
sometimes.
Yeah, I do struggle with holding on to things.
Oh yeah.
But music is an outlet for me. I love.
Nice.
I mean, music with soul that I can relate to.
Yeah.
Kind of have like a nostalgia from back home.
Yeah, buddy.
That's the kind of thing I use. A little bit of escapism, focusing on my girls.
Yeah.
Trying to stay busy with them.
Yeah.
So that's basically.
So you are, I know you said you like to turn it off, but there is time, and I know this from my own experiences. I've had mine turned off for a big portion of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, recently actually, this sucker's ripping out of my body, getting out of me. And I don't have any control of it anymore.
Yeah.
And I screwed up a long time ago by putting that shit aside.
Right.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can feel that building a little bit, I got 5 years left, and I'm so looking forward to that because one of the things that we do as a group every year is we go on a little trout fishing trip.
Nice.
And it's been, my family goes too, and both my families. So
yeah.
We go and we drink a little beer and unwind and in nature. And, we go to the Cranberry, which is the wilderness in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And no electric there, no phone. And I look forward to that every year. It's just, that usually gets me through for the year,
Nice.
Just being able to unwind for that week.
Yeah. So you're acknowledging things. That's great. And I can only imagine, like I said, what you guys go through on the day-to-day, the week-to-week, and the amount of trauma and the amount of bullshit that you guys go through. It's just, I can only imagine. And I just say that because a little bit of crap that I got in my head can almost rule the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. The thing that probably bothers me the most right now is just seeing what heroin's done to our city.
Oh.
And what it's done to the people here. Our city's dying.
It is.
And,
it's sad.
It is sad, and it's scary because my pension comes from these guys, making sure these guys still have a job.
Right.
So yeah, it's scary. The drugs are just, it's out of control. And
what do you think? And I asked one of my other guests this question. What do we do? You know what I mean? What do we do right now as members of the society? I mean, we're middle-aged men. How do we change it? How do we teach people to make better decisions or different decisions? I don't want to say I hate to tell anybody's making a bad decision because they all have a reason. You know what I mean?
I think, and this is the libertarian in me coming out, I think people have to be accountable to their actions.
I agree.
And we provide so many services to help people that they don't have to be accountable. You know, I remember we toured one of the drug rehab facilities before it even opened, and they told us that a lot of them come there to avoid jail time.
Dang.
And they don't have to stay. You check out today, check in today, check out tomorrow. And we got a bed, you can come back. All on the taxpayer dime.
Jeez.
So, I think making a libertarian view is, drugs should be legal. I have mixed feelings about that, but I think that what a libertarian believes is you have to be accountable for your actions.
Absolutely.
And we can never have something like that until people are held accountable for their own actions.
I see not every problem has the same fix, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The way I might handle, or somebody could tell me to handle problem X, whether it's, let's just say, drinking. Steve, your cure for drinking or your punishment for drinking is this. Doug, yours is this because of your situation.
Mm-hmm.
But that's almost impossible in our society and our laws and all that. But I think it really is a personalized, every problem needs to have a personalized fix, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's impossible, really. But
individualism, everybody's different, and collectivism is I think it's one of the biggest problems in our country is collectivism.
Yep.
There's nothing more sacred than the individual. So,
right.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That goes back to, personal accountability.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of been my go-to here lately. And you're right. If everybody has some personal accountability and held themselves at a different standard, and I'm not saying you got to be the freaking president, but you can be a better version of you tomorrow or in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody can be better at everything they do. You, me, our daughters, everybody. And it's hard to look in the mirror and say, "Hey, Steve, you're an asshole."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard to do, man. I mean, I know for me, I could never do that for a long time.
Yeah.
And just wisdom and age has been the cure for me, really. But
yeah, I'm a pretty stubborn person, and
me too.
I was just thinking about this today. I'll argue a point that I believe in till the end, but I like to be proven wrong because I'll just learn something. I can't go through life without learning.
Absolutely.
I think you should learn something every day. I'm an information junkie.
Me too. I'm with you. I mean, I'll stand toe to toe with somebody and argue. Not really argue. I used to argue like spitting mad argue, but anymore I'm pretty open minded about a point.
Yeah.
I'll listen to anybody, man. I'll take your opinion and I'll decipher it, and I'll either shove it in the trash or I'll build off of it.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got quality information, no matter who you are. Everybody's got an experience you can learn from. And then, that's kind of goes back to this show, man. It's just about talking about life and learning from each other all the time. And life's such a freaking challenge. I mean, it's crazy. I guess, what are you doing about your traumatic experience to make a positive impact in society? I guess nowadays, your own personal life. How are you using your traumatic experiences to make a positive impact in society? If you are, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just see that through my girls. I try to instill, my girls have heard a lot of things that most kids their age haven't heard. That have parents that work in offices or whatever, and we're pretty blunt with our girls about drugs, and my kids know my political philosophy on everything.
Yeah,
and I think for me to give back to my community is put two girls out there that are going to be contributors.
There you
go. Once they leave the nest, it's up to them. But from to that point, I think that making them good people, or showing them what good is.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's probably my biggest focus on giving back to the community. I referee soccer a little bit.
Yep.
That's my way of giving back to that community for what they've done for our girls.
Yeah.
Kept them out of trouble.
Yeah. So far.
Kept them busy.
So far.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They're getting, see, your daughter's a freshman now, so mine's in 8th grade, and oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, the high school thing, man.
Ooh.
It was rough. It was rough for a little while.
Oh, I really want to know. We have a new high school next year.
Right.
I don't know if you heard about that or not, but I'm kind of scared. Because, just the experiences I have with my daughter, I can see the adultism coming in, if that's even a word, but I'm using it today. So adultism, there you go. Steve Smith word, Ritchie County word right there.
Mark it down.
But I can see that stuff happening.
Yeah.
And it's scaring the crap out of me because, well, we went through that. We weren't females, obviously, but man, things are about to get crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do. I'm scared to death.
I know what I was at that age, and I don't think that my kids are they're a little bit naive to that kind of thing. Still good, I think. And at that age, man, I was girl. That's anything I could think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was so freaking stupid back then. That's all there was to it. That's what scares me to death. I was just, you might have heard me on my show before, but if I could go back in time and meet my younger self, it would be an ass whooping.
Yeah.
Completely.
I agree. And there will be a lot of apologizing to people. I think.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you people are out there listening that I need to apologize to, hey.
Ditto, same thing.
I am really sorry for being the way I used to be. And I mean that. I got a question for you. I like to ask all my guests this. What is your biggest accomplishment thus far in your life? What is it?
It's wash, repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat. My girls.
Yeah, man.
I couldn't be more proud of them. And I know one day they're going to make me, when they become adults, make me proud of them. In a different way as an adult. And
right.
So, yeah, just raise them right, and that's basically it. I was so blessed to be raised by a mother and a father.
Right.
They say that's the biggest indicator of success for someone.
That's what they say. Yeah.
A mother and father in their life, and I was extremely blessed with that, and I'm glad to be able to provide that for them too. Yeah. Even though it's tough sometimes.
Oh, it is. I agree, man. That's my biggest accomplishment. Just fatherhood and, trying just to turn that little thing into a productive adult and somebody that can make decisions on her own, and live a life that's, respectable.
Right.
I mean, respectable's it's got a big definition sometimes, but just to see the things that we instilled and taught her, just to see that grow up into an adult is amazing. Is amazing. I got a question here for you. What is the one life lesson that you want to pass on to our audience today? No matter what it is, what's one good life lesson? This show is the Life Hacks, man. And I haven't really asked this question yet, and I just thought of it. I want to start, offering our audience one good life lesson for my guest.
Seems cliche, but you just never know when your last days there. This COVID thing has really got me thinking about my parents and how little how little time we have on this earth. I haven't been able. I've made a conscious decision to try to, not expose them and possibly expose them to COVID.
Right.
So I haven't seen my parents, spent time with them, and I was originally against this vaccine, and the more I've thought about it, that that's going to give me the opportunity to go to my parents risk free.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be standing in line when they offer it.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason
Yeah.
that I don't feel safe yet. I don't feel safe with it, but
yeah,
it's a risk I'm going to take because I just think you never know. My mom's got Parkinson's. She's doing great. I mean, she's doing way better than I think we could ever ask. 3 or 4 years into it, but you just never know. You never know what's coming tomorrow.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point, dude. I'm anti-government in a lot of situations. It's just my nature to question the decisions being made, just because we've all seen so much baloney with government. And I'm not saying I will or won't take the vaccine, but I will make a great educated decision on what I do with that. And it's going to, the people that I'm going to be around is going to play a factor. Because just like you said, tomorrow's not promised for nobody. 5 minutes ain't promised for nobody. Mm-hmm. If I can do something to extend that for just a short amount of time, I think I'm willing to make that choice, even though it might shorten my time. It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
But nobody knows. Just like we go back to the 9/11 towers, man, the firefighters rushing in there. None of them knew what was going to happen. Yeah, the second tower guys probably had a good idea. But nobody knows, But yeah, I'm willing to definitely think about it for sure. Do you have any other questions, man? Do you have anything you would like to add to the show today before we wrap things up?
I like to talk a little bit more about my dad real quick.
Yeah.
I kind of put him off in not so great a light at the beginning when I said, he was always at work.
Yeah.
That was my experience, and he and I have talked about that since then. But my dad is a great role model, and he worked hard for his family. And when I got out of high school and started into college, and maybe a year after I moved out, our relationship completely changed, and it wasn't adversarial anymore.
Huh.
And I remember this day is when I was probably 18. He'd gotten tickets to a Penguins hockey game.
Nice.
I was a huge Penguins fan at that time. Loved Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr. Loved those guys.
Yeah.
And he takes me to this hockey game, and we're sitting there. He goes, after the first period, he goes, I'm going to go to the concession stand. He said, you want anything? I said, yeah, give me a beer. Just, off the cuff, just said, give me a beer. Drink beer. And he come back with one.
Oh.
And I went, he just became my friend.
Yeah.
He just become not just my dad, he became my friend. And, that's stuck with me my whole life.
Yeah.
And, but, at this point, my dad he's retired, but he's way busier now taking care of his family, my mom's family, and my mom. And, he doesn't get a lot of appreciation but we're watching.
Yeah.
And I hope he knows that we're watching.
That's awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
I never carried negative feelings about my dad for, not being around, because I knew, as an adult, I know why he wasn't. I know he had his own business, and he worked at this plant, 50, 60 hours a week, whatever. So, he was just out there getting it, and that's what he knew. And I think it's probably what he knew from his dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all. That's what I want to say about that.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Like we said earlier in the show, that family thing, man, is so critical to growing up, you know. And you turned out a great dude. And with you saying that you guys kind of bonded with that beer, man, I had a similar situation with my old man, but that's nothing more, in my opinion, than your father and you both acknowledging the fires that you just went through to get to that beer handing over to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly.
And that's the manhood has taken over, and that mutual respect of, you know, in his eyes, my son turned out to be a good daggone person.
Yeah.
And you thinking the exact same thing. My dad knows it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
And he's told me several times he sees me as his hero. So.
Whoa. That is killer, man.
That gets me and that makes me so happy. You know, that makes me so proud to be, you know, where I'm at. So
that's that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You know, yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, dude, I view the firefighters, the police officers, and I hate, you know, that hero word. I don't say it lightly. You know, that word means a lot to me. And you guys are that person. Yeah, every crowd, every business, every job has their bad apples, you know, and the not so good ones. But even that being said, to still go to work every day to be a firefighter, to still go to work every day and be a cop, I don't care how good you are, that takes some intestinal fortitude right there.
There's no one that does it for the pay.
Exactly.
I promise you that.
It is crap. Well, not crap, but
yeah, I mean it's
compared to what you have to do.
It's at a level that we can live with it right now.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's it isn't worth what we go through.
Right.
But I'm sure you know about the police officer who was killed in our capital.
Yeah. That was yesterday, right?
Yeah. She's had a year on, and there's no amount of money that can bring her back. So
you know, she you know, like I said, that word hero doesn't come out of my mouth very lightly. And I got huge, and I mean huge, because my vocabulary is terrible. Huge is the best word I got. Right. Respect for you guys, officers, firefighters, you know, paramedics, all that stuff. I still want to be one. You know what I mean? I'm 3. I got metal on my back. I don't even know if I could pass a test, but deep down, I still want to be a firefighter or a cop. Can you make that happen?
I don't think so.
But yeah, man. Hey, folks, we're going to wrap up this show. I hope you enjoyed that firefighter discussion. I didn't know much about firefighters till you come on, dude. And I, you know, obviously what we see in TV and just a little bit of stuff I've heard you talk about, and some of my friends that are firefighters and police officers, but none of us have a clue what you guys are going through every day, whether it's physically, mentally. And I just want to thank you for coming on and give me some of your opinions and thoughts on everything, dude. I really appreciate it.
Well, hopefully someone learned something, and it was a halfway decent or interesting conversation. So.
Yeah. We could have these. You know, every time we go in a soccer tournament, we get to talking about something. You know, we always have good conversation. Right. You know, and I enjoy talking to you. You're a great guy, man, and great family man.
Yeah, I think we have a little bond with our upbringing as far, you know, raised in the country and that kind of thing.
Very similar.
Yeah,
very similar. Very similar. All right, folks. Hey, this has been the Life Hacks Podcast. And if you like what you're hearing, if you like the stuff I'm talking about, if you like my guest, hey, tell your friends, tell your family, subscribe to the podcast. Hey, be on the lookout too. I'm going to be launching some new merch, a Patreon account, some things on my Instagram and my Facebook page. Check it out, the Life Hacks Podcast. It's on Instagram, Facebook. You can get merch there. just help to support the show. If you like what we're doing, buy a t-shirt, buy a coffee cup. I don't know. Find something you like. And you don't have to buy anything. Just tell your friends, man. Subscribe to the show. And until next time, we will see you later.